Chicago Bears have traded for a wide receiver. They have acquired former first-round pick N'Keal Harry from the Patriots for a 2024 7th-round pick. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears offseason discussion video to discuss a trade that just went down a couple hours ago. Also, big apologies, guys. I tested positive for COVID, so my voice is completely shot for this video. So might be annoying to listen to me right now, but I thought I'd get a video out for you guys just discussing my initial reactions about this trade and how N'Keal Harry could potentially fit on the Chicago Bears if he makes the roster. And to be honest, guys, I love this trade. Okay, how can you not love this trade? It's a very low risk, high reward type of trade that we made, okay? Because we traded a 7th-round pick in 2024 in 2 years. That is basically nothing, guys, okay? That's basically getting N'Keal Harry for free. And N'Keal Harry, although he's had a very disappointing start to his career with the New England Patriots, he's only 24, was a former first-round pick, and looking at the state of the Bears receiving core right now, how can you not want to make a gamble like this, okay? It makes perfect sense for the Bears to make a gamble like this because, again, low risk, so even if he doesn't make the roster, it's not like we're losing anything major, so it's basically a risk-free, trade, and he will actually have an opportunity to turn his career around with the Chicago Bears just because of the limited, wide receiver talent that the Bears currently have. This is probably the best place he could have gone, if he were to get traded from the Patriots, just because, he will get a lot of opportunities in camp to prove to the Bears that he deserves, to make this roster and to prove to the NFL that he still has something left in the tank. So if you guys look at his college career, I mean, he was a monster in college football at Arizona State University. Destroyed the Pac-12 in consecutive years in 2017, 2018, had over 1,000 yards each of those seasons, had 8+ touchdowns as well, and just was a physical, athletic freak in college football. That's why he got drafted in the first round, pick number 32, by the New England Patriots. If you look at his scouting report coming out of college, his best trait was his ability to win 50-50 balls. Coming out of college, he was 6'4", 228 pounds, so decent height, decent weight, pretty strong overall, and his ability to adjust and track the ball in the air was elite in college football. He also had one of the highest vertical jumps in the entire class that year, so he could really jump up there and get the ball against basically any corner, any DB in college football. And if you also look at his bench, guys, I mean, he had one of the highest bench reps in that class. Okay, so tested pretty well. He wasn't the most explosive though. If you look at his 20-yard split, 10-yard split, and that's really limited him in the NFL up to this point. He isn't the most explosive receiver. He struggled to gain separation at this point in his NFL career. Now, some of that may be attributed to the Patriots not exactly having a wide receiver friendly type of system, right? I mean, if you go through the last couple of years, you can't really name many receivers that have had a lot of success with the New England Patriots, but at the same time, he has been disappointing himself so far in his NFL career. For you guys, his stats with the Patriots, he was there for 3 years. First year, only had 105 yards, only 12 receptions. Second year, he had only 33 receptions, 309 yards, and then last year, he was basically not a factor. Only had 12 receptions for 184 yards. Now, for a former first-round pick, these are horrible numbers, okay? These are some of the worst numbers you could possibly have as a first-round pick. He was barely utilized in that offense. Seems like he just didn't fit with the system, and when he was on the field, he didn't exactly impress anybody. So, again, guys, he's been a big disappointment so far in his NFL career. Up to this point, you could definitely say he's been a bust, okay, for being a first-round pick. These are not the numbers that you would like to have, but again, he is only 24 years old, so I know it's not an excuse for his poor play up to this point, being young, but there are, examples of other receivers in the history of the NFL that have turned their careers around with a change of scenery. I mean, being 24 is still extremely young. If you look at our rookie, Velus Jones, I mean, he is 25 years old right now, okay? And, other receivers like Cooper Kupp, they were also, really old when they first came into the NFL. Again, I'm not trying to say that N'Keal Harry is going to be anything like some of the better receivers in the NFL, but just saying you can't write him off completely up to this point. And giving him a chance in camp is, I think what's best for both sides. The Bears badly needed a X receiver on their roster. Right now, we only have, Equanimeous St. Brown as, what I think is the X receiver in this offense. But Equanimeous St. Brown has also been a big non-factor so far in his NFL career. So I feel more comfortable getting competition in the form of N'Keal Harry. Even though N'Keal Harry has been extremely disappointing up to this point, only trading a 7th round pick for a potential really good football player if he can put together what he had in college football. That is a no-brainer for Ryan Poles, okay? And that's exactly what I think N'Keal Harry will be with the Chicago Bears if he actually makes the roster. The X receiver, the big body, 50-50 ball type of guy that Justin Fields can throw the ball up to, and hopefully, it comes down with those catches. Right now, the Bears don't really have very physical, tall type of receivers. Okay, we got rid of Allen Robinson in the offseason. He was probably our main X receiver, last, 4 years. Wasn't a big factor last year, but the Bears could really use one of these types of guys in their offense. Before this trade, I thought Equanimeous St. Brown might actually be our X, right? Because I can't think of anybody else that fits the mold of being an X receiver in this offense. But from a physical standpoint, N'Keal Harry is definitely that guy. Okay, like I mentioned, 6'4", 228 pounds, physical freak, and also a really good run blocker, guys. Okay, he's actually been one of the better run blockers in the NFL at the receiver spot over the last 3 years with the Patriots. Okay, that's one area where he's actually excelled and been elite at with the Pats. So, if you guys look at our receivers the last 3 years, we haven't really had great run blockers in the receiver department. Allen Robinson refused to block most of the time. Darnell Mooney actually tried pretty hard to block, but he is a smaller type of receiver, so he's not going to be, elite at run blocking. And the other receivers that we had, they were not necessarily great run blockers too. So from a blocking type of perspective, this is a place where N'Keal Harry could definitely contribute and hopefully lead to bigger plays for the Chicago Bears offense. Okay, the Bears offense had very few yards after the catch or big time running plays or successful screen passes because none of our wide receivers could really block that well. So, again, from a blocking perspective, this is definitely a place where N'Keal Harry is going to add a lot of value to the Chicago Bears offense. And that's really a reason why I think he could make the team, okay? Because Ryan Poles has prioritized receivers that can block pretty well, okay? Byron Pringle is an above average and willing type of blocker. Velus Jones in college football was also a capable blocker. Darnell Mooney, who we spoke pretty highly of, is also a willing blocker. He's not necessarily an elite blocker, but he showed the willingness to want to block. So getting more receivers like this that want to block, that's how you make a scrappy offense that can maybe perform better than what people think it's going to perform like. Because obviously on paper right now, the Bears have one of the worst receiving cores in the NFL. Nobody expects this receiving core to be great or elite this year, just because we don't have proven talent on our roster. But with the proper coaching and underrated moves like this, maybe we could be better than what people think we're going to be like. So again, I love this move because it's such a low risk type of trade, only trading a 7th round pick in 2 years. There's practically no chance that 7th round pick would have provided us with more upside than N'Keal Harry does. So hopefully this guy makes a roster. Hopefully he turns his career around. Not the most likely thing in the world, but it's worth the gamble for sure for the Chicago Bears. Let me know what you guys think about this trade in the comments down below. But as always, bear down.